Okay, here is a video of my 1967 Rolls Royce Silver Cloud, Silver Shadow, Mulliner Park Ward coupe, two-door. They sometimes call it a two-door saloon, but it's just a two-door coupe. There were only about 500 of these cars made, so it's actually quite a rare car. That's the reason I bought it. I have a collection and several coach-built cars, special cars, cars. I had a Bentley convertible, one of 41 in the world. I had a Bentley, I had a Rolls Royce convertible, one of 50 in the world, and I had several other shadow-based cars, of which this is one. So all my cars I try and get them of a pretty high standard. This was the last car I was working on just prior to me leaving. I almost got there on doing what I wanted to do, but I wasn't able to resolve an issue with the passenger window. I'll talk about that in a moment. But just getting back to the car, I'll just do a walk around so you can see it's quite tidy. It's got new carpet in the cabin and the boot. Here's the boot. And there you can see how beautifully detailed I did do that. And again, you won't tend to find many cars with a boot looking like that. Okay, and even the top here was done. And I can tell you there's about 50 screws going around here, all the chrome screws replaced. Very nice. You hear that thud as it shuts. I'll just walk down the side of the car here. This car was originally owned by John Banks. He was probably the most famous bookmaker actually in Scotland. He basically owned what you'd call the TAB type shops in Scotland back in the 60s and 70s, and was the largest bookmaker of his day. He made the first £1 million bet, and there's in the history file you find some information from him, and I'd corresponded with his son. He was an avid Rolls Royce collector and had a number of cars, and this was one of them. So that tells you a bit about the history. Just open the car. Here you can see the beautiful wood. I had a specialist who does wood and only wood as his full-time occupation, and mostly for Rolls Royces and Bentleys. I've had him do work on all my cars, and it's just outstanding. So you can see here the colour is a very dark and rich colour, which looks superb compared to the black interior. And I did that deliberately to make sure that the contrast was beautiful, and it is. Anyone who looks at this interior just gets wowed. And all the wood was done, so not just your front dash, bottom and lower bits, obviously your side bits, your rear quarters there, and all the way around, the pillars you can see there, and even the windows, the wood around the windows, which is often cracked, as mine was, and was repaired at great expense, and looks superb, looks like new. So I'm very proud of the work he did on the car, and as I say, anyone who looks at it is amazed. The rear seats have got new leather on them, you can see here. Beautiful high quality full grain leather, which is the quality that the factory always had. I kept the seats on the front original because basically they're very good. They're too good not to keep. So basically they've just had a bit of moisturiser put into them. They're pretty soft, and you know, you can continue. I think that's always important, to continue to moisturise them with a good product. I use products from England. The car, as you see, has had it's a unit that looks classic, but it's actually quite modern. And I'm sorry about the shaking around here, but this unit is actually Bluetooth, so you can connect your phone to it, and you can see up here it's got a speaker there. So that speaker will allow you to talk, take a telephone call, listen to telephones, calls of other people. So the clock works. Actually, I need to set that to the correct time, but it does work because I've had the battery disconnected. This I had redone by a chap in England who has sort of clockmaking skills, and some people convert them to quartz, but this one is original. You can see here, even the inside of the glove box is done. You can see the light coming on there. Here is, this is the emergency window winder that was original to the car. Nice to have that. I'll just, pardon me, I'll just open up the bonnet. Well, these things hanging down, just so you know, they're coming from the back of the stereo unit. So that is a USB drive, and you have music that you can put, like MP3 music on it, and then you can play it through here. So it's really quite neat. You can connect a whole range of different things to it. I've just left it out to remind people that that's there. I think the USB feature is the most fantastic thing, to be able to, you know, put music on a little stick and play it through. So no more CDs required. This car, I didn't really get a chance to detail much. You can see I had resprayed these parts of the carburettor and sort of polished these. But you know, you could spend more time. You could refresh these pads to improve the look, and possibly do a little bit of painting, you know, on a few surfaces like this, and maybe also have the this painted, or that's the brake reservoir for the brake fluid, or do there's special paints you can use, epoxy paints I think, that'll allow you to do it, and they're brake fluid resistant. So, you know, the major thing that I hadn't had a chance to recommission here was the General Motors A6 compressor, which is this one here. You can see it in situ. So this car originally had air conditioning in it. Okay, so this is the original unit for the air conditioning. I mean, it may have been replaced, but it's the original correct type unit. All the bracketry and everything is correct. And then inside the car, you can tell it's factory air, because when you look at this particular switch here, if you see little notches like you do on the left of the centre, that indicates that it has air conditioning, because to turn air conditioning on, you switch it like that. Now, this air conditioning's not working because my mechanic noticed that there was a the clutch at the end of it, right, was what happens is when they wear, apparently they start touching and it can make a bit of a sound. So he just took the end of the clutch off, which goes with the car, and that'll be in the boot, and basically you know, that you need to recondition that unit. They're a very common unit. They're used in a lot of American cars, so that's where they were sourced, from America. It's a General Motors unit, an A6 compressor. You can buy a reconditioned one, fully reconditioned, on eBay for $250 US, and just mail it out here and you've got one. That's what I'd do, rather than muck around reconditioning that. Although I'm sure there are people who can do that for you. In Australia, there's plenty of aircon people that will do that. But anyway, that's just a personal choice. So, the area underneath here could be improved. Oh, that's another area I did improve. The box was missing originally when I bought this, and basically I've just had to buy another box, correct the original box, which I did, and then I put the correct voltage regulator in there, which is a Lucas 40R unit. So all that unit is correct for the car, which is pleasing. I mean, it's had new wires put on, new distributor cap, new rotor, new coil, basically all those electrical things. Carby's been redone. All the brakes in this car have been redone. And that means new caliper, new pistons in the calipers, totally refurbished. I only use a specialist Rolls Royce mechanic called Repair and Restoration Services out at Wetherill Park, and they, I'm sorry about this noise next door, it's just unfortunate timing. They have restored the brakes, so you'll see that in the receipts for the book, for the history of the car. Anyway, this is the day before I go overseas, and a little bit rushed, and I apologise for that, but look, this is a great collector car to have, and to continue to improve. I'm selling it very cost effectively, and to be honest, losing a lot of money on it, given all the effort I've put into it so far, but it would make a very nice car to continue to improve over the years. So thank you very much for your time.